Good morning, everybody. This is Brent pastor of Mount Calvary Baptist Church, and it is, I guess it's a little after 7 this morning on Wednesday, and I'm sitting here on my back porch with a cup of coffee. If you don't drink coffee, you need to drink coffee. It's good for you. Make you grow up and be a big boy or a big girl. So, also, I am a Tennessee fan, so to all my Tennessee Vol fans out there, go Vols. But this morning, Chris Johnson from First Baptist Church and I have been walking at 6 in the morning for the past couple of weeks, trying to get back in shape. Chris and I are both have some similar issues with heart issues, and also with I don't know, I don't want to say fat, but I'm going to say a little overweight. I'm fat, but so after I walked this morning, I'm on my way home, and I'm listening to all these people that are talking about this pandemic, and all these doctors that have talked, and all these people that refute these doctors. And I hear all these politicians that talk, and all these other people who are have all this information that they're willing to give us. They're experts on this field, which nobody is an expert on. And as I'm driving home, I get home and I'm thinking, wow, I think the Bible has something to say about that. So I get my Bible out. I'm looking at the Sermon on the Mount, the greatest sermon that was ever preached, a message that was preached by Jesus himself. And that begins in Matthew chapter 5, and he begins with the blesseds. Blessed are those who mourn, blessed are the meek, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. But as you move on down to verse 38, Jesus says something there that I think is applicable to us today. And what he says is this. It's very simple. He says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. And I thought, wow, well, that is a pretty simple statement. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. How refreshing would that be if everyone simply let yes be yes and no be no? Which means just tell the truth. And when you say something, say it and mean it and be done with it. I listen on television at times, not often, but I do listen on television sometimes to these different people that are telling us all these things about this COVID-19, and they're telling us all these things about how many people have died, and you listen one day and this many people have died, and then they come back and they say, well, it's not really this many people that have died, it's this many people, and this many people have been infected. And then they say, well, no, it's not really this many people, it's this many people, and this is what you need to do, you need to wear a mask. Well, no, wearing a mask doesn't help. And the bottom line is this: if you would simply get your facts together, make sure that it's a fact and it's not a matter of opinion, and tell the truth, you wouldn't have to worry about it. One thing that I learned as a child growing up, it was a hard lesson at the time, but one of the things that I learned as a child is that if you tell a lie, or if you tell something that's not necessarily the truth, you have to constantly be coming back and making up, or trying to recant one story and make up another story. Well, no, that's not what I meant. I meant this. And folks, I want to tell you something. It's a lot easier just to tell the truth to start with. Just let your yes be yes and your no be no. If you go to the part of that verse, and if you go to the part of the verses in chapter 5 before this, what it talks about is swearing by God, or swearing by heaven, or swearing by other things, and you hear people at times say, well, I swear on a stack of Bibles. Well, one Bible's good enough, but you don't even need to swear by that. If you'll let your yes be yes and your no be no, you won't have to worry about Whether people believe you or not, they'll believe you because they know you're telling the truth. The problem is that so many people have lied about so many different things that you can't trust them anymore. You can't trust anybody anymore. It's insane. And even as I sit here today, I realize that as a pastor, and I'm not the guru for pastors. I've been a pastor for a number of years, but I have I have little expertise. I think all pastors practice, kind of like doctors. We learn as we go, but even in my profession, where we speak the truth of God's Word, there's a number of pastors that have been caught lying and doing other things and trying to make money and trying to do other things. But if we would all just get together and say, okay, this is the way it is, we would all be better off. And so let me encourage you today, if you haven't before, please just let your yes be yes and your no be no. It'll make things a lot simpler for you. It'll make things a lot simpler for other people. You won't have to worry about telling somebody that that what you're saying is the truth. You won't have to say, oh, but I may have told you this the last time, but this time it's the truth. If you just tell the truth to start with and you make a habit of that, then people will know that what you say is the truth. Like I said, wouldn't it be refreshing if the people around the world actually did this? How refreshing would it be to listen to a newscast where they didn't call each other liars and we didn't find out that they were lying? Wouldn't it be refreshing if politicians told the truth all the time? Wouldn't it be refreshing if people around our community told the truth all the time? Wouldn't it be refreshing if we all were able to just tell the truth? I will give you one word of caution in all of this. When Dana and I, my wife and I, were first married, we were in seminary and living in an small apartment in New Orleans, and we didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, and she's a fantastic cook. Let me preface that by saying this: she's a fantastic cook, but she was sort of learning to cook at the time, and she made meatloaf, and that's one of my very favorite meals. I love meatloaf. It's just one of my favorites. Meatloaf and pinto beans and cornbread and a little slice of onion. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Sweet tea. That's what I grew up eating. So Dana made meatloaf, and it was really good. I mean, it was really good. And she asked me, she said, well, how's the meatloaf? What do you think of the meatloaf? And I said, honey, it is fantastic. I said, it's almost as good as my Mama Rowe used to make. Well, that was, we've been married 1994 was the year we got married. So we've been married almost 26 years. And I have not lived that down yet. So let me just say this: when you tell the truth, be prepared. When you're bold enough to tell the whole truth, there's times that you will also reap the consequences for that. But it's always better to tell the truth than it is to tell a lie. And I just want to leave that with you today. I hope you have a good day. I hope you have a hot cup of coffee. Mine's getting a little cool, but it's still good. And God bless you. And I hope to see you soon. Y'all take care.